Okay, welcome everyone. My name's Jonathan, and this is a short, gentle Hatha practice. And for practice today, it might be useful to have some props. I've got a strap with me and then a couple of blocks. You can use whatever, pillows, bolsters, anything else that you might need. And we are going to jump right into it in terms of standing position. So just make your way up to the top of your yoga mat or yoga space. And stand tall, close your eyes, and take a big breath in. And then exhale it out. Okay, just lean over to your right foot, open your eyes, and lift your left leg. Hold on to your knee with both hands. Okay, we're running this one live on Instagram. So the mistakes happen as they happen. It is nighttime here in Victoria, 8:15 p.m. So I'm trying to be a method yoga teacher where I'm practicing and teaching a practice right before bed so that I can go straight to bed. Switch legs, lower your foot, lift your other leg. So holding your right knee, pull the knee up high, look forward. Just a basic balancing position. So nothing too strenuous or eventful for this practice today. Okay, then lower your foot. Give your feet some space about hip width or even wider. Just place your hands to your hips, bend your knees, and then hinge forward, bow over your legs to touch your fingers to the floor. Or this is where you might use something like blocks to put your hands onto. Just basic standing forward fold, Uttanasana. You can use your breath to find more depth in the pose. So what that means is with the inhale, you can lengthen your spine, and exhale, fold in a little more, or even push your legs slightly straighter. On your next in-breath, rise for a halfway lift position. So that can be hands to the tops of your shins, pushing your shins forward, moving your hips back to create a little arch in your low back. You can also use props. That's where I like to practice with 2 blocks a lot. And then it's beyond a flat back. Try to find a little arch in your low back and then push your legs straighter from there. Take another breath in. And then exhale and bow over your legs. We'll just do 2 more Arda Ushinasana. So inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale and fold in. And then last one. And then bow. And then place your hands to your hips and inhale, slowly rise all the way up. Lean to your right foot, lift your left foot behind you this time. Grab hold of your foot for a thigh stretch. So not necessarily dancers where you kick back, more of the old thigh stretch you'd do in gym class. If you need something to balance with, hand to wall or hand to table, use that. So there's ways to make the stretch more of a stretch if you're quite flexible. One, of course, is to bring the heel in closer, not just to your butt, but it can start to go towards the outside of your hip. Also, if you tuck your tailbone down a little bit, it'll isolate the stretch for the front of the thigh. And then finally, if you move the knee back a little bit, so not the kick back like dancers, keep the heel in close to your butt and just move your knee back slightly. Okay, and then switch legs. Balance on your left foot, hold your right foot. Find the balance first, pull the heel in, just basic gym stretch. For some, this is a big stretch. For others, this is purely about just getting balanced. So again, if you want to isolate the stretch a bit more, tuck your tailbone under slightly, or kick the foot and knee back just slightly. Okay, and then release your foot. On an inhale, sweep your arms high up into the air, reach up, and then hold on to your right wrist with your left hand and arc over to the left. Come all the way back up and then switch. Hold your left wrist with your right hand, lean over to the right, and one more time each side, come back up, lean over to your left, and come up again, and then lean over to the right. Okay, take a wide stance on your space. Stretch your arms out. In general, a wide stance is defined as feet under your wrists, so you can point down. If you have something that you want to drop on your toes, go for it. Usually not the wisest idea. And then bend your knees slightly. Place your hands to your hips and tilt your pelvis forward. So that means actually stick your butt back slightly. Then clasp your hands behind your back and hinge forward over your legs. If you prefer doing this position with your hands down or fingers in line with your toes, you're welcome to do that instead. Again, you could use blocks as well. So just pausing here in what is considered an inversion, but not really an inversion in the true sense of like the headstands or handstands. So it's just that the head is below the heart and the heart is below the hips. Okay, on your next inhale, slowly come all the way up and then turn one foot out 90 degrees, doesn't matter which one. Bend into your knee, place that particular forearm on your thigh, and then swing your arm long for side angle position. Maybe the most vigorous position that we'll do in terms of a pretty strong standing pose, partly just to get the body warmed up, loosened up for some of the softer, quieter stretches. Actively reach your arm long, pull your feet towards each other. You could even lift and spread your toes to get more strength in your legs. And then now push with your feet, come all the way up, straighten that leg, turn it in, and switch to the other side. Bend into your knee, forearm to your thigh. You could even go hand to your hip momentarily, move your shoulder back so you get a little more open, and then stretch your arm long for the extended side angle position. So more challenging is hand down to the floor or going for a bind. You're always welcome to make things a little more challenging for yourself. Tinker with it. It's not like I'm watching and judging. Actively reach and extend out. I just say, good job, great work, congratulations, 100%. Bonus marks, 103%. Push with your feet and then come all the way up. Stretch your arms out, turn your foot in, and then heel toe your feet in. Join your hands together. Deep breath in and deep breath out. And just come back to near the top of your space. Place your hands to your hips, bend your knees, and then slowly hinge forward again. Hands to floor or on blocks. Inhale, lengthen your spine, lift up halfway. And then from here, step your left foot back into a lunge position with the fingertips to the ground, or again, you can use blocks. I use blocks all the time. It's a good way to make your arms longer. It's also a bit of an intimidation you can bring into like grocery stores. If you walk in with blocks and pick up your produce using blocks, people are like, what's going on? And they're like, ooh, stay away from that block guy. Staying strong with your legs, we're going to do a few poses from the lunge position. So this first one is pretty basic, but just holding the position can build some heat. So pull your feet in towards each other so your legs get stronger. Soften and bend a little deeper into your front knee so you're working your front thigh parallel to the floor. On your next exhale, lower your back knee down. I am now a pointer of the back foot. I used to be a tucker, so life changes. Always welcome to change your mind in life. But on an inhale, rise up, float your arms into the air. This is considered low lunge. reaching the arms up, and we're adding a twist. So join your hands together, tilt forward. Big breath in, and then twist to your right. Hook your elbow to the outside of your knee. My fave is the fist on the lower hand, upper hand wraps over top and just gives a little bit more leverage. So again, you're the author of your story. If you want to lift your back knee or go into some sort of crazy bind, go for it. But in terms of gentle yoga, this is fairly gentle. Even gentler is just hand to your knee and hand to your hip. So you always can turn things up or down. Okay, and then back to center. And then now bring your right hand to the inside of your right foot. Wiggle your foot to the edge of your mat, turn it out slightly. And then from here, sink your chest lower, elbows to the floor or blocks. And you may not even get them to the blocks. You may just keep your hands up and just sink your chest. It just depends on flexibility. There was a time I could get my elbows down, but I can't anymore. It's because my legs are stronger now. So the challenge is if you get stronger in one area, you can actually lose flexibility, which is a good paradox to think about when you practice. Do you want strength or do you want flexibility? And of course, there's gymnasts who have both, but we're not all gymnasts. Okay, and then slowly come back up onto your hands. Just wiggle your foot towards the center of your mat again. Lift your back knee, step forward, pause, round over your legs, lift for a halfway lift position on an inhale. Exhale and bow in, and then step your right foot back this time. So again, just pausing in what I often call high lunge position. High being that the back knee's lifted, sinking into the front leg. And then if you come up higher in this lunge, that's when it starts to become crescent lunge position. But pull the legs towards each other. Just use the time and your breath in the pose to build the little bit of heat that we need. And then lower your back knee down. Again, point your toes or tuck them. And then rise up. Stretch your arms high. Tilt forward. Join your hands together. And twist to the left this time. So again, I do a ball and socket joint position. And it's just a little stronger for the wrists. The reason I point the back toes is just a little easier on the kneecap as well. And can pull the top of the foot forward to actually grip onto the mat. And then every breath is an opportunity to stay present in the pose and go further. So that means you can inhale, get longer, and exhale, twist a little deeper. On your inhale, untwist, touch your hands down, left hand to the inside of your foot. Wiggle the foot out to the edge, and then moving your hips forward and back. Just using that as leverage to find some mobility in your hips to eventually get lower down. So I know people who can get their head or chest down. Again, at what point is too far too far? And it reminds us of the adage of just because you can doesn't mean you should with respect to doing something. So there's nothing wrong with just staying upright. I still get the exact same stretch this way for the legs. This one just adds a bit more into the back, and then a huge amount for the back if I get my elbows all the way down. Okay, and then next pose, instead of stepping forward, just bring your hands flat and then bring your left leg back, all fours position, hands and knees. In all fours, On an exhale, round your spine, tuck your chin in, move your tailbone down. And then on an inhale, do the opposite, arch your back. So the cat-cow movement. Exhale to round, breathing out for the whole movement. And then inhale to arch, breathing in for the whole movement. So as the breath ends, that's when the movement stops, and there's that moment you hold the pose where you're in between the peak or trough of your breath. Okay, and then on your next inhale, just come to a neutral spine position. Neutral is somewhere in the middle, so a slight round in your upper back and a little arch in your low back. And then because this is gentle, we'll just go in stages. So stage 1 is going to be to just reach your right arm forward and pause and hold here. You could have your palm face down or towards the center of your mat. You could go fist, you can go thumbs up. Everything's okay. We're gonna get through this. We're gonna get through this. And then switch hands. So right hand down, left hand lifts, and then pause and hold. So fairly simple. The advantage of doing simple poses is that you can pay more attention in the pose itself. So push your knees and feet away from each other. Actively push down with the right hand to lift the rib cage up. Again, you could make a little bit of a fist. Reach your left arm long. And then on an exhale, lower your hand down. Pause, all fours. Move the knees a little closer to each other. And then on an inhale, lift your right leg back behind you. Up to you to point your toes, or you can flex your foot, or you could move back and forth between the two. Push your hands down and away from each other so you stay fairly strong in the position. And then lower your knee and switch sides. Lift your left leg back, push the hands down and away, flex and point your foot. Okay, and then lower your knee. Okay, this time it's going to be right leg back first. Move your hips back, and then go left arm forward. Whoa. Whoa. A little bit more challenging. Holding strong. Embracing that little bit of movement. And then lower your hand, lower your knee. And switch sides. Lift your left leg back and then reach your right arm forward. Pausing to balance. Holding the position but not your breath, so that let that be fluid and natural. Okay, and then hand down, knee down. Open your knees fairly wide with your big toes touching. And then just sit back onto your heels for child's pose. You can reach your arms out in front of you. Okay, and then come back up to all fours. Just slightly more challenging. We won't hold it super long, but lift your left leg back. This is going to be different. Then lean a little bit over to your right and lift your left arm straight forward. So balancing on right knee, right hand. Whoa. 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 Okay, and then go hand down, knee down. And then go right leg back. You can even move your hips back towards your left heel just to balance a bit easier. And then right arm forward. Okay, and then go hand down and then knee down. Just moving the blocks out for some future poses. Tuck your toes under and lift up for downward facing dog. Bend your knees a little bit, tilt your sit bones high into the air, push your hands forward, stretch your spine long. And then you can bend one knee as you stretch the other leg straight. And then switch. And just doing that, either connecting it with your breath or just going back and forth. It's called walking the dog without having to take a plastic bag with you. Okay, and then come forward, plank. Lower your knees to lower all the way down onto your belly. Point your toes back, lift your hands to hover, and then rise up for a medium locust pose position. So holding strong here, pulling your elbows back, feeling the strength in your upper and mid back. Take one last inhale, and then lower down. And then round 2, come up again, same thing, or you can go arms alongside you. Or if you prefer to clasp your hands behind your back, use that. I'll do the in between, so just arms alongside, rise up. Take an inhale, one last rise, full breath, and then lower down. Before you get too comfortable, just wiggle yourself onto your back. Oh, great. Practice got a lot nicer. Okay, cross your left ankle over your right thigh. Just a figure 4 position. For some, this is enough of a stretch, or you can lift the right foot and thread your left hand in between the gap of your legs to hold the back of your thigh, or even the top of your shin. And then there's lots of ways to go further in the pose. So it could be bringing your right knee closer, using your left elbow to nudge your left knee out to the side. It's a very similar position to pigeon pose, but without the compressive force of your body on your knee joint. Okay, and then switch legs. You're welcome to do a Chaturanga in between. I don't know who would do that, but someone might try. Not gentle. So I do my best to cross at the ankle, maybe even consider the base of the shin as opposed to the foot itself, just so that you take the joint, the ankle joint out, and just on the base of the shin bones, and then can isolate the stretch a little bit more through the outside of the right hip. The next position is where we could use the straps if you have a strap or a belt, or rope, bungee cord. Okay, and then release the leg. So what I'll do here is strap up the left foot and then have it go straight up into the air. A little bit easier is keeping the right knee bent, foot flat. A little bit more challenging is straightening your right leg. When I have the strap, I feel like it's okay to have the right leg straight. I've broken one of my social distancing rules, which is that I'm within 6 feet of the wall beside me. No one really knows in terms of if you have a neighbor beside you, like how close can you be to the walls. Anyways, loop up the strap in your left hand or hold on to your big toe with your left piece fingers and then open your leg out to the side. So I can't really go that far. You'll just have to imagine it on this side. And you can counterbalance with your right arm out to the side. So it can end up going pretty far out and more towards the head side of your mat than the feet side of your mat. Actively pull on the strap, but push back with your foot. Okay, and then come all the way back up and then hold on to the strap with your other hand, so in this case the right hand, or hold on to the outside of the right foot. It can help to shift the hips a little to the left as you drop the leg over to the right. And there's 2 options here. One is to keep the left butt down, so it really just isolates the IT band, or you can allow the leg to go all the way over and turn it into a twist. Just because I know I'm going to be short on space on the other side, I'm just going to stay more for the IT band stretch. Leads to quite a bit of drool collecting at the back of my throat. Oh. Okay, and then come all the way up. If you have the opportunity to just measure your legs beside each other, I look down and my left leg maybe is about 1 centimeter or 2 longer. So yoga will allow you to grow. When I started, I was about 5'6", and I'm 6'1" now. So it's incredible. And it's interesting that if you start yoga at a young age, like as a child, you can grow a lot more than if you start as an adult. It's interesting, but it's proven science. Pull down on the foot, push up against the resistance, and you know you're in a good place if you get a bit of a shake a leg going. So it's gentle yoga, it's not rocket your leg into outer space yoga, so be careful not to overdo it, but it can be nice to get that little stretch sensation. And then if you want a little bit more mobility here with the leg, when you hold the strap or foot with your right hand, rotate the leg externally slightly and then open your leg out to the side. Again, you can counterbalance with the left arm. I go a little bit out to the side, but if you get to a place where you're shaking, you're probably pretty good. If your leg is straight but a long way away from you and not really doing anything, then just bend your knee, pull the knee in, and then extend the leg out to the side. Woo! There we go. Okay, and then IT band stretch. Hold on to the strap with the left hand, right arm out to the side, and then right leg goes to the left. The hardest part about yoga is getting your lefts and rights right. Right? That's the same word 3 times in the same sentence. Getting your lefts and rights right. Right? Okay, and then bring the leg up, bend your knee, bend both knees, just roll over to your side. We'll just do a few seated poses before we wind things down. So I like to sit on a block for the seated positions. Join the bottoms of your feet together and open your knees out to the sides. There is a way to use a strap on this one where you put the strap under the outside of your feet and then crisscross the strap. And then from there you can pull on the 2 ends and join the feet together as you hinge forward and push the knees out to the side. So again, nearing the end of practice, so if you want to keep things on the mellow side, you can hook your shins and just round in a little bit. Okay, if you round it in, just come up, keep your left leg as is, but slide your right leg forward and a little out to the side. Turn over your right leg, Janu Shirshasana. Again, I've got the strap, and I like to just stay fairly upright and then bow forward about that far. Not really using that block, it's just there for show. So this actually gives a lot more of a stretch for my leg than to bow in, but it's going to be different for everyone. Okay, and then switch legs. So left leg out, right leg in. It's kind of like a tree pose, but it could even be a little bit wider with your legs. Loop up your foot, pull on the strap, bow forward, or you could just bow forward and hold your foot with both hands. I can touch my foot, it's just that the stretch becomes a strain. So it's nice to stay in a place that's moderate, average. Okay, and then come up, and then both legs straight forward. And it might help to actually bend the knees a little bit, especially if you're using the strap. Try to get a little arch in your low back, sit up tall, and then hinge at your hips, same as what we did standing in the Uttanasana position, to bow forward, maybe eventually holding the big toes or the outsides of the feet. Emphasize holding the feet before straightening the legs, and then push your legs straighter from there. Okay, and then rise up and return onto your back to finish things up. Move the hips a little bit to the left as you cactus blade your arms, and drop your knees over to the right. So just showing basic stacking of the legs on top of each other. If you prefer doing eagle legs or figure four legs, do that instead. Okay, then lift your knees up, shift your hips over to the right, and then drop the knees over to the left. Looking over your right shoulder, twisting out any anxieties, any annoyances from the day. The nice thing about practicing yoga and going straight to bed is you can clear your mind. You can even prep yourself for that final Shavasana. And then come all the way up. Hug your knees in. Option to give yourself a little roll side to side. Or you could even go happy baby and hold the outside of your feet. I always do my best to position the camera the proper way when filming this pose. Certain angles that don't really work. But as you pull down with your hands, push up with your feet, and again, you could rock a little side to side. Then hug your knees in, and final resting position for a minute or two, or the whole evening. A lot of the practices I like to do or teach are a little bit more energizing. And it's also nice to have a practice that can dim your energy and slow things down. Super simple, just pay attention to your breath in and out. In and out. Inhale all the way. Open your mouth and exhale it out. Again, breathe in. And breathe out. Move your head side to side. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Then stretch your arms up. Bend your knees. Roll over to one side. And slowly push your way up to a tall seated position. Join your hands together. The light in me honors the light in all of you. Namaste.